He looked, someone once said, like an unmade bed. But nobody could be so unkind as Dylan's description of himself. Listen to this. Above medium height. For waves, I mean. 5 feet 6.5. Snub nose, curly, mouse brown hair, one front tooth broken after playing a game called Cats and Dogs and the Mermaid Mumbles. Speaks rather fancy, truculent, plausible. A bit of a shower-off. +4s and no breakfast, you know. A bombastic, adolescent, provincial bohemian with a thick, knotted artist's tie made out of his sister's scarf. She never knew where it had gone. And a cricket shirt dyed bottle green. A gabbing, ambitious, mock-tough, pretentious young man. And moly, too. Not much pretension about that, was there? Not quite the vision that Augustus John had of him. He saw through to the innocent cherub beneath. No one could say of him what he said of another. There goes the ghost of a poet who was dead for years before they buried him. Dylan died too soon. We could have borne his ghost a while. One could echo Sir Philip Sidney. He doth not only show the way, but giveth so sweet a prospect unto the way as to entice any man to enter into it. With a tale, forsooth, he cometh unto you. With a tale which holdeth children from play and old men from the chimney corner. He loved small towns by the sea best, and Welsh small towns by the sea best of all. One day he discovered Larne, and that was it. In the words of one of his own characters, he had been lost, he said, and had found a dark retreat to shelter from the bullies in the wind.
Some people live in Larne because they were born in Larne and saw no good reason to move. Others migrated here for a number of curious reasons. And some, like myself, just came one day, for the day, and never left. Got off the bus and forgot to get on again. This timeless, balmy, both spellings, town of herons, cormorants, castle, churchyard, girls, ghosts, geese, feuds, scares, scandals, mysteries, bats in the belfry, skeletons in the cupboard, pubs, mud, cockles, flatfish, curlews, rain, and human, often all too human beings. With its 7 public houses, 1 chapel in action, 1 factory, 2 billiard tables, 1 St. Bernard without brandy, 1 policeman, 3 rivers, a visiting sea, 1 Rolls-Royce selling, and a multitude of mixed birds. Here we just are, and there is nowhere like it, anywhere at all. For 15 years, this was his home. Here he worked and talked and drank and laughed and cried. From here he sometimes ventured forth, beckoned by increasing fame, to London and America. And back here, too, he always came with the noise of distant adulation fading in the wind. The boy in a dream, knowing that the voice was his, to the lane where he paddled blind home through the weeping end of the world. Here in his simple shed, he labored and found not peace, but turbulent acceptance. It is not a little thing, he thought, this writing that lies before me. It is the telling of a creation. He could translate every symbol of his dreams, and he lifted the pencil so that they might stand hard and clear upon the paper. But sometimes the morning was against him. He struggled with words like a man with the sun, and the sun stood victoriously at high noon over the dead story. The afternoon was dying, lazily, namelessly drifting over hill and tree and river and corn and grass to the evening shaping in the sea, being blown from Wales in a wind. And far away in the west, across the sea he loved, he died. The ugly, lovely town is still alive, though war made a hideous hole in it. The shop that sold gobstoppers, that rainbow as you suck, brandy balls, wine gums, crimson cough drops to spit blood, ice cream cornets, dandelion and burdock, raspberry and cherry aid. The school hall is shattered. The echoing corridors where he scribbled and smudged and yawned in the long green days, waiting for the bell. Here was once the flea pit picture house we called the itch pit. Week after week for years and years we had sat on the edges of the springless seats there in the dank but snug flickering dark. Let's go and see Lon Chaney and Richard Talmadge and Milton Sills and Noah Beery and Richard Dix and Slim Somerville and Hoot Gibson. We both sighed, oh, for our vanished youth. The cafe in the high street where he talked with the dead and the now dying.
Read it, Augustus John says in his book. Oh, yes, but it's true. I find it just a bit of a bore trying to talk to, isn't it?
Past the Habit Centre where once a very young man had mucked about as chirpy as a sparrow. Past the remembered, invisible shops. Recalling to me my dead youth in the vanished high street when the shop windows were blazing and singing came out of the pubs. I wonder whether you remember a friend of mine. He always used to come to this bar. He wore a perched pork pie hat with a peacock feather.
Oh, him. He owes me £5 There couldn't be two like him, let's hope. Down the Three Lamps I used to see him, lifting his little elbow.
What's the Three Lamps like now?
It isn't like anything. It isn't there. It's nothing. You remember Ben Evans's stores? It's right next door to that. Ben Evans's isn't there either.
There the Three Lamps had stood. Now the voices of 14 years ago hung silent in the ruin. The brick heaps and the broken wood that had been houses once, where the small and hardly known and never to be forgotten people of the dirty town had lived and loved and died, and always lost. In those always radiant, rainless, lazily rowdy and sky-blue summers departed, I remember August Monday. I remember the sea telling lies in a shell held to my ears. As we climbed to the still homes over the mumbling bay, we heard the music die and the voices drift like sand.
Oh, yes, I knew him well. I think he was happy all the time.
What has become of him now?
Dead. Dead. Dead.